Good evening, Holy Blossom Temple. Erev Tov to all of our guests from near and far. We're so glad you're with us. It's good to be together. I am Rabbi Yael Splansky. It is my pleasure to be your host tonight for this wonderful tribute for our own Cantor Benjamin Maissner. You know him, you love him. He's been there for you time and time again. Over the many years, I know everyone has a Beny memory to share. We could go on all night, but in just an hour or so, we're going to share some highlights and some key memories from some of the key people who have been working side by side with Beny over the years. I want to thank our volunteers. You know, at Holy Blossom, we're really driven by our volunteers, and a circle of volunteers, really multiple teams of volunteers, have been preparing for this evening for more than a year now, actually. And of course, we had a plan to be together in person for a gala tribute at Holy Blossom, but then Corona struck, and without hesitation, they shifted and they pivoted and they came up with another plan, and that is what we will enjoy together tonight. An evening of song and laughter, of gratitude and celebration for our one-of-a-kind and easy-to-love Cantor Benjamin Maissner. So settle in on a comfy couch and put your champagne on ice, because we're going to have a really special evening tonight to raise a glass of something special to toast Hechazan Binyamin, Ze'ev Ben Yitzchak Halevi Verivka.
I'm telling you, Hope, I know how to do this.
Of course you do.
I know how to conduct the orchestra score, but this... Aha! But he said we're doing it twice.
Well, it doesn't matter, Benny.
It's ridiculous. Ha! Wait! Ah! Ah! Ha, ha, ha.
Oh, my hero.
Unger, Ravitz, Glanz, Alter, and Moshe Genchev, these five are my idols. To my 4th grade and 5th grade, I joined the Bilu school, which was the religious educational system, Friday and Shabbat morning, in that Bilu synagogue, which is still established and existing today. Ravitz taught me the basic of the first letter in the prayer book to the end of Ne'ilah. Just a basic chanting. The chief cantor in Tel Aviv, Benjamin Unger, was a Viennese who was a friend of our family. I sang in his choir many years. Unger was a great Baal Tfilah. Baal Tfilah is a master of prayer. Then the only one is Leib Glanz. And I grew up on his lap from the age of 10 till 20. And he spoke to God. Because when he sang, he didn't only sing, he actually spoke. How do we open our mouth to you, the Almighty, in slichot? Eich niftach peh. Most of the cantors will go, Eich niftach peh. No. I was 10 years old. There were 400 people in the synagogue and 5,000 people outside on the streets with police on horses. The greatest influence is the patriarch of our family, is my uncle, Israel Alter, who is one of the great last cantors of the Golden Age. He was the Oberkantor, the chief cantor in Hanover. He came from Vienna. He had a tremendous Wagnerian tenor. My DNA, being a cantor, is the passion of the little Hasidic shtibel that I grew up, the intellectual approach of Leib Glanz to every word, and the pedagogical influence that Israel Alter instilled in me, which is called Chazanut HaSefer, the Chazanut of the book.
Beny, 41 years. If one thinks of those 41 years as a journey, it has been a rich and wonderful one. You have instilled in us a pride in our musical heritage, whether traditional chanting or a new interpretation. You have shared your joy and enthusiasm, caring and passion. You have taught us and nurtured us. You have enriched our worship with your knowledge and musicality and your beautiful resounding voice. You have enriched our joys and softened our sorrows. Thank you for taking us on the journey with you. In addition to all of that, to call you a friend has been a bonus, a privilege, and an honor. May the next part of your journey be filled with health, meaning, and much joy. Know that you have made a difference to all of us. Yasher Koach, L'chaim, and thank you, Beny.
Thank you, Barry. And I understand we have you, Dr. Borden, to thank for bringing Cantor Meissner to us. It was 41 years ago that you were the chair of the Cantorial Search Committee. So we have you to thank for Cantor Meissner's leadership. And now it is my honor, my privilege, my pleasure to introduce Holy Blossom President Avra Rosen.
Thank you, Rabbi Splansky. What a special evening this is. And while I know it is not the celebration we planned when our hardworking celebration committee started working almost a year ago on this event, I don't have to tell you that we never would have expected to be where we are tonight. But we have an incredibly resilient congregation. And with all the outpouring of love and support from our many volunteers, our lay leaders, our staff, who worked hard to put this lovely evening together, because we are here to raise our glasses and say L'chaim and Mazel Tov to our beloved Cantor Meissner on his retirement and on becoming Cantor Emeritus of Holy Blossom Temple. This is also a fundraising event to raise money for the Cantor Benjamin Maissner Musical Legacy Fund to ensure the continuity of music at Holy Blossom. Donations are welcome to June 30th. And while we all look forward to being together one day in our beautiful spaces, and I know we will be together again, tonight we are together virtually to celebrate Cantor Meissner, who has been my cantor for 35 years, and to celebrate tonight with his wife Hope, their children and grandchildren.
Thank you, Avra. And don't go too far because we're going to welcome you back in a few moments. But now, all the way from Jerusalem, Rabbi Dov Marmer.
Beny, your announcement that you're retiring came as a huge surprise to me because I always assumed that you never got older, just better. If you're perhaps prepared to return the compliment, I think you will say that I also got better, but only when I got older and retired. So we have something in common. We have more in common. In fact, you and I are both admirers of Cantor Benjamin Maissner. So enjoy your retirement in the bosom of your family and travel the world and wow us all. All the best.
Dear, dear Beny, you are indeed a treasured gift to Holy Blossom Temple. For 4 decades, you have taken our congregation on a musical journey, not only by encouraging us to join you in singing familiar Hebrew melodies during services, but also by bringing exceptional Jewish music programs to the entire Toronto community. Your heartfelt compassion during life cycle events has earned you great admiration and respect. 4 generations of my family have been the beneficiaries of your warmth and caring. I will always remember your outpouring of affection for the very young Israeli musicians who visited Toronto to perform on 2 separate occasions. Not only do you appreciate their remarkable musical talent, but each of these children won a very special place in your heart. Elliot and I wish you continued fulfillment in your future musical aspirations and pray that you will be our esteemed Cantor Emeritus for many, many more years. Beny, I feel blessed to have you as my cherished friend.
Dear Beny, dear all, 70 days of our Holy Torah brought us to meet you, Beny, a man of Torah, a great artist with a big heart. Congratulations to you. We love you, admire you, and follow your way.
Mazal Tov, Beny. Thank you so much.
We enjoy staying with you.
It was very fun, a great atmosphere.
We miss you.
And we wish you all the best.
It's very rewarding walking into a wedding and knowing that the bride or the groom, or both of them were my bar mitzvah kids years ago. There's immediate kind of exchange of love and affection between myself and the people. At one time, I remember an episode, I walked in, a person said to me, "I remember you," and I said, "I remember you, but I don't remember your name." So he said to me, you don't want to know because you hated me. Because he told me the name and I said, or he said, now I'd like to hug you.
I was just the bane of Beny's existence. He would always say to me, Chucky Blummer, you are a bum. You are a bum. You have to do your bar mitzvah right so that all the aunts and uncles from New Jersey can come and leave their 14 Cadillacs and their 12 color televisions and come and do the envelopes. You have to do it right. So I never forgot that.
It's very, walking into a wedding and the bride says, oh, Cantor Maissner, you're here, you did my bat mitzvah. And the mother comes over and she says, you married us, you know. I now do bar mitzvahs of children whose parents did the bar mitzvah, but I always tell the children I was much harder on your father or your mother.
Amen.
You see how long it is? You make me very happy.
A letter to Beny. Dearest Beny, it is a great privilege and honor to have been asked to speak at this celebration to mark your retirement from Holy Blossom Temple after 41 years of dedicated service. Thank you for your music, for the many hours we have listened to your magical voice, inspiring us to feel that God is close to us and is listening also. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, many times we have stood outside in the cold and rain, waiting to enter the sanctuary. When we were in our seats and services began, your magnificent voice confirmed to us that it was well worth waiting for. We will miss you dearly, Beny, and when your magical voice resonates in our memories, we will remember that you have brought us as close to God as we could ever get. Thank you for the endless hours that you have spent behind the scenes all these 41 years. Rehearsals with the choir, your beautiful voice spiritually uplifting us in our glorious sanctuary at all our significant life cycle events, our Jewish holidays, weddings, baby namings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and funerals. When you first arrived at Holy Blossom Temple, my daughter Deborah was privileged to be one of your first bat mitzvah students. She still speaks about your patient, caring, and gentle demeanor. Decades later, my 3 grandsons, Joey, Jonathan, and Anthony, were also blessed to be under your cantorial guidance for their bar mitzvahs. As you enter a new chapter in your life, Holy Blossom will always be your synagogue. You will always be in our hearts, and we know that Holy Blossom will be forever in your heart. I raise my wine glass to wish you l'chaim. May you pursue your life in good health and happiness.
When I started my cantorial studies at the seminary, and my professors heard that I studied with Beny Maissner, they immediately told me that I had an unfair advantage over other students, for there is no way they could teach me what Beny must have already instilled within me.
In the beginning of Yom Kippur, because Moses came down at the Geiger Rabbinical College, not only the lecture and coaching, which I hope to do in the future, but I did it Friday night, just the way we do it here. So when I teach, or when I taught, or when I lecture, of course I lecture from a very personal perspective. One of the lectures was how to make a service pleasant, accessible, without trivializing the music and the cantorial art. So I picked up everything we do, for instance, from Yom Kippur in the afternoon until Ne'ilah, all the traditional pieces, some of them congregational melodies, some of them ay, 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 which is a purely Orthodox thing, And then, of course, I demonstrated with the pianist our choral, sophisticated music, which is also singable. I mean, the Kaddish for Yitkadar, Yitkadar, Shemei Rabba, Zochreinu Lechaim, which is Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur morning. But it Ne'ilah, Zochreinu Lechaim, Melech, which are totally two different melodies. So I showed them in a traditional context how varied is the service. And everybody sings along with me. The congregation answers with the choir, Baruch. Baruch Hashem,
Beny dear, we go back a long way, and your friendship to my family and I has meant a lot to me. It has been my privilege to work with you on the music committee for many years and be the beneficiary of your beautiful voice and vast knowledge. You have greatly enriched our lives at Temple. I wish you many more years of singing, and we will miss you all very much.
Beny, your smile and voice radiates and warms the hearts of many, but especially the elderly and the sick that you visit on Shabbat. From the bottom of my heart, I'm grateful to you for having visited my dear mom last fall while she was living in a nursing home. My dear mom was excited with the news of the Cantor coming to visit her. As sharp as she was, she always knew how to engage and connect in conversation, despite her frailties and medical condition. At the time of your arrival, we had a classical music DVD playing. I fondly remember that visit. My dear mom immediately tapped into your love of classical music, and that opened a door where she shared that she was very proud of her great uncle, Eugene Ormandy. I recall a wonderful conversation ensued on Europe, music, and your association with Ormandy. To see this bond and sweet connection between you was pure love and magic. You also shared in your joint connection on Israel, and you showed us photos of your days in the Israeli army. As a young man, we both really bonded. Beny, I'm most grateful and appreciative to you for the visit, your care, your compassion, and even for a moment in time, distracted my dear mom, who was a Holocaust survivor, from her physical pain, suffering, and how she was feeling at the time. I will be forever grateful to you for that lasting memory. And one little anecdote, Beny, which you don't know. As soon as you left, Mom leaned over and said, "You never mentioned how handsome and charming he is." She was completely smitten by you. Beny, I wish you and Hope much, much love, gratitude, and very happy adventures on your retirement. All the best.
In addition to being cantors and chazanim, we have all learned with Cantor Benjamin Maissner.
And when we heard he was retiring, we wanted to give him a gift.
Something that showed him how much we appreciate our time with him.
And how much he influenced us.
And how much we care.
How important he was in our careers.
And in our lives in music.
So what could we give him?
Tradition, collision. Who is a mentor steep well in tradition, knowledge overflowing, details in his head, and who is the chazan teaching chazanut with all those little notes he loves? It's Beny Maissner, musician, Beny Maissner, magician.
Beny is a scholar and a learned man. He tunes into Israeli news, keeping up with scandals and the latest views. He also likes to read the holy book. Subscription, 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 Subscription!
Do they even have those anymore?
Subscription!
No.
So maybe something practical, yes, something he can use. His Harley's always in the shop, the gears keep slipping. A transmission, 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 transmission.
No. We lifelong students share a common feeling. Gratitude is reeling, love is all around. So we thought to honor our distinguished mentor with a brand new glorious sound. Commission, commission, commission for Beny. A commission, commission.
Who is peaceful, patient, calm, and keeps his head? If notes are wrong or words misread. Who is easygoing, laid back, and serene? If you know, tell us and we'll have them meet. Our Beny Meissner. Admission, Beny for Beny. A commission.
We learn the modes perfectus, appreciate the text, interpret every syllable, and hope he likes it. Our Beny Meissner, patrician for Beny Meissner, a commission.
He has so many goals, his life's an open book. Each lesson you will hear, you're never off the hook. He's Beny Meissner, confection for Beny Meissner, a commission.
Though we poke fun, there is nobody like him. We send admiration, gratitude, and love. The chaim to you and a hearty mazel tov as you become emeritus.
Beny Meissner. Inspiration, a commission.
Beny, as you have guessed, we have commissioned this new work in your honor.
It is a text beloved in our tradition.
L'dor vador nagid God lecha.
From generation to generation, O God, we will tell of your greatness and sanctify your holiness.
Beny, you embody the heart of this message.
And we love you for your passion and your faith in us.
The new setting of L'dor vador was written by cantor composer Jonathan Commissar. The new setting was composed for multiple voices, clarinet, and piano.
Lech lecha, Beny. May the years to come bring life and love, good health, learning and teaching, music and song.
How do you succeed, Cantor Benjamin Maissner? The simple truth of the matter is that you cannot. Beny, you are not only a gifted chazan, an artist of Jewish music, you are a teacher to all of us, and you have given this holy congregation your musical gifts for the past 4 decades. Your music will continue to resonate within the glorious walls of 1950 Bathurst Street for generations to come. Beny, you have also been a tremendous pastor to this community and have had the opportunity to stand with countless families at their most vulnerable and precious moments. You have celebrated both professional and personal milestones with this community, and I know that you, Hope, and the entire extended Maissner family will continue to enjoy these connections for many years to come. I am truly honored to become Holy Blossom's next senior cantor. While this exciting task is great, I carry within me a sacred purpose and obligation to model Jewish music that is accessible for present and future generations, while honoring the indigenous musical gems of our tradition. I too will be blessed to work with an incredible clergy team, along with a great senior and support staff team, lay leaders, and a congregation that remains committed to deep and resonating Jewish life and learning. At this auspicious moment, let us collectively say, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. May we continue to grow from strength to strength as we transition together. And may we look forward to a time where we can physically embrace one another and rejoice in the next chapter of Holy Blossom Temple.
It's our pleasure to speak briefly honoring Cantor Meissner's 41 years of dedicated service to Holy Blossom Temple and its members. When our 3 children were in religious school, they recall Cantor Meissner's vivacious spirit and sense of humor. He was fun to be around, and he always put his all in. In many ways, he was truly the heart and soul of the temple.
A few years ago, I approached Cantor Meissner to ask him if he'd be interested in commissioning a new piece of music in memory of my mother to be included at our Shabbat morning services. Cantor Meissner enthusiastically agreed, and so began a very enjoyable partnership during which time Cantor Meissner explored my late mother's tastes in music as well as my own. The result was the creation of a stunning Kedusha by Cantor Charles Osborne, performed exquisitely by Cantor Meissner, the temple singers and choir, and 5 musicians. Cantor Meissner's generosity in taking on this new project speaks to his indefatigable spirit and his aspiration to keep building the already rich musical heritage of our temple. May God bless Cantor Meissner in his new role as Cantor Emeritus.
Thank you, Sarah and Rick. And now it is my pleasure to welcome Rabbi John Moskowitz to reflect upon his 25 years working side by side with Cantor Meissner.
Permit me to take you to 3 places as a way to kind of capture Beny Meissner, the unique Beny Meissner. First, February of 1987, we met then. I had come to interview at Holy Blossom. We were both on the younger side then. Beny was 42, I was 35. And as I'm sitting with him in his office, I'm trying to figure out who in the world is this guy? An Israeli, obviously, a son of the German Jewish tradition, clearly, really an East European Jew at heart, but also an American and a Canadian to boot. And Jewishly, even though he was the cantor of a Reformed synagogue, I knew he wasn't Reformed. But neither was he modern Orthodox, which is how he had grown up, and neither was he conservative. He had once served as a cantor in a conservative synagogue in Philly. In fact, Beny was none of these things, but he really was all of those things. And the most interesting people are those, and Beny is one of them, who are at home everywhere, Jewishly, and in some ways at home nowhere. Those are the really interesting people, and they're the ones you want to learn from and in many ways emulate. That's Beny. Second place to emulate Beny is the hospital or the home. When somebody is suffering, ill, there's no visitor like Beny Meissner. He leans in. It's as if he's leaning in with his entire body, and it's as if it's heart to heart, Beny's heart and your heart, so that when somebody is suffering, in any context, Beny responds from his own aches. And in fact, if you look, in those situations, his eyes are always moist. The third place is Israel. Beny and I spent a wonderful afternoon a couple of summers ago on the beach in Tel Aviv, sitting under an umbrella, doing what we both love to do in Tel Aviv, on the beach, and that is eating watermelon. We were speaking largely about our respective childhoods because Beny's childhood haunts his home, his apartment, his childhood synagogue where he learned to be a boy chazan, only a few blocks away. We spoke from the deep love of Israel that we shared. It was part of our bond. Originally, it became an even stronger bond in the days of the Second Intifada when Israel was under daily attack and I would speak about it from the Bema, and Beny would cheer me on. And in any case, finishing the watermelons, we took off for his childhood synagogue. He wanted to show it to me. And again, his eyes were moist in that shtibel. It's where he learned to become a boy chazan. It was the place of his teacher, Leibel Glantz. And I suspect it's where Beny started on the road. Remember, he's only 8, 9, 10 years old when he's a boy at Cantor. He started on the road then and there at that place, that shtibel, to becoming the Beny Maissner that we would know, the passionate and knowledgeable exemplar of Jewish music, knowledgeable about Jewish ideas as well, occasionally aggravating, always lovable, and a cantor who has had as remarkable and as consequential a run as any rabbi or any cantor that I know of. Which brings us to this time when we are fortunate to celebrate with Beny this moment, with hope. He wouldn't be Beny without hope and his family. And with this remarkable run, let us pray and hope that in fact it is not over. God willing, the run continues and we all benefit from one another for decades to come.
Thank you, Rabbi Moskowitz. I remember when you and Cantor Meissner decided that it was time to bring the two separate podiums together on the Bema so that Rabbi and Cantor would be side by side at the center of the Bema. It says so much about each of you and your leadership styles and how you envision tefillah. And it also says so much about your working relationship. And now it is our pleasure to welcome Dr. Marvin and Esther Tile.
Dear Beny, for more than 40 years, your music has lit up the temple. You have been the heart and soul
of our family
and the temple family. Wearing my orthopedic hat, I've always prayed for you when you got on that motorbike of yours, the biking chazan you were called. And I'm so delighted you managed to stay away from the Sunnybrook Trauma Unit most of the time.
Beny, we love you. Bis 120 Jahre in a guter Welt. Amen.
Shirat Ahava, the song that Naftali Zeitlin, a rabbi, on the way to Treblinka, on the train, wrote that poem, Zeitlin, Naftali Zeitlin. And I fell in love with the words because it meant to me so much. And of course, my daughter's name is Shira. So when she was 8 months old in 1972, I sat on the beach in Tel Aviv and I took a piece of paper and I made my 5 lines of music and I wrote this. And once again, the dawns of the morning stars will appear. Visharu lefanecha. What did they sing? The last verse, ועוד הפעם ילחש מעיין, and once again, a brook, a little stream, will whisper its prayer. Shirat tefilati, the song of my prayer. I think that's an incredible piece of music, a piece of liturgy, and I only found and discovered recently that it was done on the way to Treblinka.
Beny, your music has uplifted me in services for over 40 years. I always look forward to hearing you every time I am in synagogue. You not only have an incredible voice, but your passion for the liturgy comes through so warmly and from the heart. You make me and the entire congregation want to sing with you. and I think you've actually turned us into a singing congregation. On a more personal note, when I was singing Kaddish for my mother, you made me feel welcomed and included, and you actually taught me my first Aliyah. I will never forget that. I wish you long life and health and happiness as you begin your next journey as Cantor Emeritus. And I thank you for all you've done for me and for the temple. My very best wishes for your future.
Beny, when we first heard you singing almost 50 years ago, I drew a sketch of you, and it reflected an idealism well suited to one who was about to musically begin articulating people's innermost yearnings in public. Now, as Doris and I wish you and hope many fulfilling years in your so-called retirement, the question arises how to rechannel that still evident desire to help other people. I believe a generation of young cantors is out there waiting for someone like yourself who is going to show them how to reconcile synagogue chant with today's upbeat prayer style. By sharing this hard-earned knowledge through the technology of Zoom, you could become the universally accessible role model. Friend, this may be the ideal time for you to answer destiny's call. Amen.
But really the most important thing for me is the thrill to see 1,000 people or 10 people at the Minyan on a Sunday morning or on a Monday or a Thursday or a morning Minyan participate with ease and comfort with the liturgy and with prayer.
Everyone knows that Cantor Meissner has turned Holy Blossom Temple into a singing congregation. I remember about 15 years ago, or so the story goes, Cantor Meissner was leading the congregation in a very moving Yai by Bim Bam melody, and one congregant turned to her husband and said, "What's with all the bim bams?" And her husband said, "Maybe he forgot the words." But Cantor Meissner knew exactly what he was doing. He was teaching us to sing. He was signaling to us that even if we don't know the words, we know the melodies. And even if we don't think we know the melodies, he will say to us, sometimes just with a gesture of his hand, or sometimes with encouraging words, "You know this," he says. Even if you've never heard it before, you know it, that every Jewish neshama has locked within it endless number of melodies. And so we thank you, Cantor Meissner, for unlocking that storehouse of Jewish melodies within us and teaching us to sing. It's with your guidance that we know how.
Now our God, we give thanks to you. And praise your glorious name.
And the style of worship also changed a little bit and progressed into what we have nowadays at Holy Blossom.
You know, when I first encountered Beny as a longtime member of Holy Blossom, I kind of scratched my head because it was sort of, why is he always constantly changing the melodies? I don't understand this. This was different from what I was used to. And what I came to understand when I came to understand Beny is that he's never satisfied with the tried and true. And so, you know, sometimes some of the traditional prayers will be set to very avant-garde music. Sometimes it's very sort of simple music And often it's not the same thing because Beny thinks that's boring. He doesn't want it to always be the same. He's always interested in what's new.
Bottom of the page. 1, 2, 3. For new concerts, but we also had a beautiful concert with Lachan and temple singers. From Shtetl to Broadway, Showboat, West Side Story, Fiddler, King and I mean, you name it. And we had 65 people in the choir. Not only the three choirs, professional Lachan and temple singers, but members of the congregation that joined us for that project. And I did a beautiful concert with Lachan, Baroque and beyond, which with ancient instruments going from the 12th century to the 18th century. I wanted to embrace Jewish music with all styles of music, not only intercultural of our own diversity of the culture, Sephardic, Iraqi, Moroccan, Ashkenazi, Russian, Polish, German, all the stuff which is a very rich area of Jewish music. I always try to do something new, but differently, because the words speak to me differently every time. But I remember a Friday night with an amateur dance group from the JCC up north that danced on the Bema modern contemporary ballet. It was Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
It was an opportunity in many cases for people who had never heard Jewish music before, or in the case of Germany, people who hadn't heard Jewish music in many years to experience that. In the case of China, of course, many of the attendees had never heard any Jewish music.
So I created a group, Lachan, which is in Hebrew called melody. Lachan is a mangina, tilikud, which is a gathering. Chovevei are the lovers of negina, of a melody. I was lucky to bring Lachan to Germany for a festival, to China for choir Olympics, choir games of 100 countries and 17,000 singers. We sang in Detroit at the Kansas Assembly Convention. We went to Ottawa at the opening of the museum.
Lachan Chamber Choir, the spirit of Jewish music, is proud to be here in this museum, in this beautiful, beautiful cultural center.
88 was the anniversary of Kristallnacht, from 38 to 88, so 50 years of Kristallnacht.
The main big synagogue in Leningrad. Beny is teaching a class at the moment with students who want to study to be chazonah.
And we sing music from the 12th to the 21st century, Hebrew, liturgy, Ladino, Yiddish, fun things, serious things, modern Israeli composers.
You know, I think about the trip to Germany in 2000. There was this sort of amazing embrace of us. We did 2 performances with the Nuremberg Symphony. We did 1 performance for the Jewish community in a rehearsal hall that was built by Albert Speer under the Nazi regime. We performed alongside 2 other choirs, one from Israel, one from the United States. And there was this incredibly warm embrace of us by the local Jewish community who turned out in force, which really felt like we were to some extent, pre-war Germany, pre-Nazi Germany. There was this old world sense about it. Sort of an exposure to a tradition that was long gone from North America.
We were in Bulgaria last year celebrating the fact of 49,000 Jews that Bulgaria saved in the Holocaust. I was invited, thank God, a few times to some bigger places to perform, like Carnegie Hall with the Campus Assembly. The Man Auditorium in Tel Aviv. I was very, very blessed with many opportunities to wave the flag of Holy Blossom outside in the world. The different members of the music committees that accompanied me all through the 40 years were always very influential, shaped me into accepting a higher level of Jewish music, choral, cantorial, accompanied, because I felt that the music belongs to the congregation, not to me.
Mazel tov to you, Beny, for your amazing career as Chazan at Holy Blossom, an icon in the world of Jewish music and a lecturer in 3 continents. Years ago, when Holy Blossom Temple celebrated its 150th anniversary, Marcy and I were invited for the opening week of celebrations. You and I sang together at the opening ceremonies. At that time, I mentioned how honored I was to be invited, and you softly replied, "Shelley, you are part of Holy Blossom's history." I will always remember your words. So kol hakavod, dear friend. Savor the glorious tribute you will receive this evening, but please don't stop singing. The world still needs to hear your voice. All the best, my friend. Good evening, and Mazel Tov again.
Thank you, Cantor Merrill, all the way from San Diego. We remember you well and often here at Holy Blossom. Thank you for your many contributions to our congregation. And now we want to welcome back Temple President Avra Rosen.
Thank you again, Rabbi Splansky. Our family was very fortunate because both Rabbi Splansky and Cantor Meissner officiated at our daughter's wedding in the middle of February. We already knew about COVID, but we didn't know about COVID. I think of that wedding now, and I think of how we were all able to celebrate in the Mishkan for the first wedding in the Mishkan, and it is the last wedding for I don't know when. And we were so fortunate to have Cantor Meissner officiate at Sarah and Alex's wedding. I'd also like to thank the donors tonight. Many of you stepped up and gave generously in advance of this evening's celebration in honor of Cantor Meissner. And many of you have been donating online while you're supposed to be watching this event. And we thank you, and we have seen every donation that was made tonight. Thank you. Again, you can continue to donate until June 30th. We have benefited from joy of Jewish music at Holy Blossom Temple, thanks to Cantor Meissner. And in order to ensure the continuity and the excellence of music that we have appreciated, thanks to Cantor Meissner, that is the purpose of these funds. So Beny, on behalf of the whole congregation, we love you. I love you. Mazel tov on your retirement. L'chaim.
Thank you, Avra, and thank you for your steadfast leadership during these trying times. And now for a surprise tribute, a special tribute from two of Hope and Beny's grandchildren, Nadav and Liel.
Good evening. Many years ago, my mom, Rivka, had the privilege of being a surprise guest honoring my Sabba's 10 years at Holy Blossom Temple. 30 more years have passed since then, and tonight I am excited to introduce another surprise guest. Here to share a special song in honor of my Sabbath is my amazing sister Liel, singing Jerusalem is Mine. I am the sun, Jerusalem. You are a painted sky. I am a bird, Jerusalem. You have the wings to fly. You are the father of my dream. I am a gift of time. I am your child, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is mine. You are an orchard in the sands. I am the fruit you bear. You are the glove that warms my hands. I am the smile you wear. You are the music of the hills. I am the words that rhyme. I am your song, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is mine. You are the cradle of freedom. I'm the harvest of springtime. You are the dawn of a new day. I am tomorrow. You are forever. Are my shelter from the storm. I am your guiding light. You are a book whose leaves are torn. I am the page you write. You are the branches of a tree. I am a clinging vine. I am your prayer, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is mine. I have come home, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is mine. Mazel tov, Sava.
Hallelujah,
41 years were a great blessing, and I share it with the world, and I share it with congregants, and I share it with my family. Mostly I share it with my wife, Hope.